Hello, it's June 6th, 2022. My name is Kurt, and this is my daily good life meditation video. I do this every morning after waking up, after writing a paragraph in my journal, to remind myself of my life objectives and principles, and to see how I did applying those to yesterday and to plan for today. First of all, yesterday and last night, I slept really well again. Even though it was a Saturday, getting closer to my work day, I slept right through to the alarm. Very interesting. You don't come to think of it, that's possibly the first time I've done that in goodness knows how long. Literally went to bed. I went to bed a little late. Yumiko and I stayed up. We're going to Las Vegas next weekend, and we stayed up late to watch some videos about shows and restaurants, and we made a reservation at the what is it called, the big tower. We're gonna have dinner at the Top of the World restaurant. All the reviewers said that was the best restaurant. So we did that. We stayed up late. Maybe that's part of the key. Maybe that's why I slept so well. I stayed up late. I stayed up until like 10 o'clock, and then I went to bed, and bam, I was asleep. Just black, dreamless night. You know, like a sleep of death. You know, when you wake up, it's like you lay down, close your eyes, and next thing you wake again. And the intervening, what would that have been? So I woke up 5, 10, 7 hours. Maybe I only need 7 hours of sleep. Someone left a comment to that effect, that 7 hours was all they needed at my age. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's the fact that yesterday was such a mellow day. Yumiko and I basically stayed home all day. We just traipsed out to get ourselves something for dinner and bring it home. And I basically sat up here, between sitting up here, sitting on the couch beside Yumiko, and sitting outside, mostly just reading my book all day. That was good. Maybe that's part of it too. Not stressing myself out over work. No real challenges yesterday. There was one, but I can't remember what it was. Hold on, there was one. What was it? Oh, I remember what it was. Shh, don't tell her. Yumiko has been, we've been watching videos about reviews of Las Vegas. And she found this one reviewer. I guess her name is Ruby. And she does it with her husband. They don't live in Vegas. They come to Vegas regularly. And they're very good. They do a good job. The videos are well made. The husband's always kind of anonymous. He never talks. He's like the teller of Penn and Teller. And you never even see him, actually. But he always runs the camera. And Ruby does all the talking, and she's a good talker. Yet, something about the way she does it annoys me. And I don't enjoy the videos because I find it annoying. And there was a moment yesterday when Yumiko turned it on again. It was going to be a long one. We were going to watch this one review of the restaurant and the hotel, in fact. And I was like, I settled in, like, here's that woman again, that Ruby woman. And there's nothing bad about her. It's just, some things kind of like particular sound kind of grates on you. And I told myself, okay, Kurt, whatever you do, don't let Yumiko know that you find this woman annoying. Just focus on the video. And in fact, like I said, she makes good videos, she and her husband do. And I focused on that. I even commented out loud to Yumiko, they did a good job reviewing that food. Or nice work on the camera. Or in particular, there was one thing where when they went to the room, they introduced that the room had a little coffee maker. And then at the end of or near the end, they were getting up in the morning and they showed her using the coffee maker. And she was saying at the beginning how much she appreciated the coffee maker. And I thought that was a good, is it storytelling, right? To show that something I like it and then to show using it later. And I complimented on that. And strangely, 2 things happened. One, I didn't soil Yumiko's fun. because she enjoys that woman and she was enjoying sharing it. So I didn't soil it. I didn't soil the experience for my wife. And two, I learned something, because she does make good videos, and she did tell a compelling story for that hotel, and it was really good that we saw, and particularly the restaurant. We've already got a hotel, and particularly that restaurant. And by the end of the video, I had commented on so many positive things. I had talked my way out of my negative impression, which was based on nothing more than a gut feeling. Something about the way she behaved and talked just didn't work for me. And I talked myself past that, such that I had changed my opinion. I no longer felt that way about that woman or the video. So that was a case of, temperance, controlling my emotion, no good emotional reactions, and using temperance by controlling my outward expression so that I wouldn't let on that I wasn't enjoying the video initially. So that was using temperance towards the goal of good emotional reactions, recognizing the nature of my wife, who I love and respect. She likes that woman's videos. And it's not the first one. Yumiko has a way of picking video content creators like that annoy me. It's just that Yumiko likes their stuff. That's her nature. It's also the nature of that video to be very well made. So again, and I recognize that as a true opportunity, right? True limit was that it annoys me, but a true opportunity was for me to push past that annoyance, use a little temperance, a little apathy even, to control my emotions. I mean, this is so petty in the big scheme of things, right? There's kids with cancer out there, and I'm sitting here talking about, keeping a smile on my face with a nonsense video about Las Vegas. But we all have our things, right? We all have our circumstance. No I nor anybody I know is facing down cancer right now. My big challenge is keeping a cool face on a video that I didn't like. My turn will come. I guess, I'm sure. I guess this is good practice along the way. So there was that. It wound up being, I really turned that around. Not that there was any danger I was going to give in otherwise, but 20 years ago I would have. 20 years ago I would have been something like, oh, not this woman again. Man, something about her really annoys me. Then Yumiko would be like, we'd be bearing through it. And, it's like, and she could see on my face and my reactions, I would have soiled the moment. So I didn't soil the moment. And I changed myself. I recognized something of quality and changed my opinion. Otherwise, I don't think I was otherwise challenged yesterday. But I did follow through on all my objectives, so I get another week in the bag. Made a video, did a paragraph of journal entry, and I read exactly 10 pages of... So I was reading slowly yesterday because I was making a lot of social media posts. It was and researching stuff. Oh, and I did do a little more research on houses in Japan. Plus, I had 2 meetings with work, even though it was Saturday. Working over the weekend. That was my day yesterday, and my night last night. Okay, let's do the good life. 7 objectives and 30 principles. My first objective is to be always ready to die. To have everything in a settled state. Number 2 is to make good and effective use of my time. Not to waste my days or just fritter them away. Number 3 is to develop and maintain good and sound life principles so that I have a good plan and a good set of values to rely on and to help in moving through the day, and particularly to overcome challenges and to capitalize on opportunities. Next is to cultivate good emotional reactions so that I react well to whatever circumstance comes, and then to perform good actions, and then to recognize my true limits and my true opportunities, and to do just one thing at a time, and to do that thing slowly and deliberately. Okay, now my 30 principles. Number 1 is the principle of war, to always be fighting against everything that I think is true, or anything that is proposed to me as something that I should believe is true. Number 2 is the principle of reason, which principle has 4 sub-principles. Number 1 is honest. I'm messed up because I added one and it kind of set off my routine. There are 4. There used to be 3. Number 1 is honesty, objectivity, doubt, and humiliation. Honesty, because a reasonable life is an honest, a reasonable, I guess it's a reasonable life is an honest life. And then objective, looking at things as they truly are. And then skeptical, and then willing to weather humiliation when I discover that I'm wrong, in order that I can offload any ideas that I have been able to demonstrate, or someone has been able to demonstrate for me, are incorrect. Next are 2 principles that go together. The homunculus, which is the suggestion that I do not have a soul, but I do have a consciousness, clearly. And then 2, the Anchorhold, which is an idea that identifies the homunculus as being a trapped agent, seemingly, within my head that will not escape my death and will go down with the ship with me. There doesn't seem to be anything within me that is eternal, that will last, besides my the atoms that are the building blocks that make me up. Next is the principle of called the home of good and evil, a simple suggestion that right and wrong, good and evil, do not exist in nature on their own, but they live within our minds, are cultivated by our thoughts, and matured through the efforts that we make to better understand how reality works, how the world works, and what reality actually looks to be. And then the principle of purpose, and my 3 sub-principles for purpose are I call it biology, which is the function of making babies. So to raise my children, my daughter, to adulthood, and successfully see her on her way. And then to virtue, to live a virtuous life, where virtue is defined as the improvement of the well-being of thinking creatures. And then finally, purpose. And my personal purpose is the sharing of the story of going alone, my tale of facing down the reality of the world, namely by approaching nature closely, witnessing the emptiness out there, and then deciding what to do. And what I did was I went home and I came up with the Good Life Creed, this thing I'm relating to you right now. Next is the principle of the atomic principle. Everything is made of bits and pieces, atoms and molecules, and we're all falling to pieces. And then the pirate ride, mature, and then nature, and then the principle of nature. Everything has some particular nature, including people, animals, creatures. And then the pirate ride, the idea that free will is an illusion, a very convincing one, but an illusion nonetheless. It seems that the universe has so much to say about the decisions that we make that there's not a lot that's our own. Maybe just the motive force that pushes us one way or another with a decision. And then maturity and the sub-principles of wisdom and fortitude. We are mature when we wisely remember our successes and failures, and then do our best to do better. And then the social principle. We humans need each other. We're social creatures. we do best in families and communities. And then public speaking, to always be careful about what I say and the words that I use, and to be very measured and circumspect, prudent in my talking. I wonder if I should add that as a sub-principle, prudence. Prudence as a sub-principle, maybe, of public speaking. Prudence should be used in all things, of course. Prudence as sub. I think I'm going to do that. That's 2 sub-principles in a week. So how would I describe that? Prudence is the deliberated decision-making, right? Well-considered decision-making. Prudence does have a much broader application, but in terms of public speaking, to be prudent in my speech, to try to take into consideration not just the message that I want to say, but the potential impacts that it might have on those who may receive it. I like that a lot. Nice home, if I do say so. An addition, if I do say so myself. And I did. Okay, next, after public speaking comes temperance and the controlled consumption of all things, including work and play, food and drink, even sex even, all of it. And the sub-principles of suffering, simplicity, and doubt. Suffering, simplicity, and apathy, that is. Suffering because we suffer when we tell ourselves no. Simplicity because a temperate life is a simple life. And then apathy, where we can control our engagement with what is within our just with what is. So why is that part of temperance? Why is apathy part of temperance? Because we can temper our engagement in it by applying apathy to things that are outside of our control. That's a good way to say it. We can temper our engagement. We can temper our engagement with those things that are outside of our control. It didn't come out the same way twice, but I get the idea. Yeah, more and more apathy really does belong there. I was moving it around before. Okay, after temperance comes the horror show, a reminder that life is a very frightening place of terror, horrible things happening all around, to so many, all the time, and including us. If not now, give it time. And then a principle called that which must be borne with an E, carried. And the thing that we have to carry, there's many things. We have to carry the fact of the horror show. We can't escape that. We also have to carry the responsibilities that we onboard in the course of our life. Carry those through. Once we become parents, that's the big one right there. That's 20 years of your life. That's all your money. Probably. Bye-bye. And for a very good purpose. It's the first principle, but it is the first purpose in my worldview. Okay, after that comes, what was that? What was I just on? Temperance, that which must be borne. I was on that which must be borne. Then comes the Feast of Offal. It's controlling our risks, our are upset, when we do get upset, to keep it contained within, so that we're not making it others, giving it to others. They don't want that. And it doesn't do us any good. So keep it inside. Find other ways to express it or get rid of it or talk it out or do something. Just don't soil other people with our emotions. And likewise, don't let other people soil us. It doesn't mean we ignore them, but it means we use apathy to be disengaged. And then be there for them when they're done. Offer them a hug or a tissue, or both. Okay, that was the Feast of Offal. Next comes two principles again. Distraction and agency in the great indifference. We distract ourselves through all the things that we have in our lives and all the people in our lives so that we don't have to see that the universe appears to be empty behind this facade, this wall, this thin veil of animated life. There doesn't seem to be any God behind, out there. It seems like we're on our own. And since so many of us don't want to see that, we distract ourselves with all the things in our lives, particularly our reassurance that we'll get a second chance in another life, and that we'll see our loved ones again, and that the wrongs of the world will be righted by an overseen agency. I don't think there's any good reason to believe any of that is true. So I don't fool myself. I try not to fool myself and comfort myself with vain hope. And instead, try to deal with reality and execute whatever I can in the course of my life to live a good, honest, virtuous, and just life. No one else is going to do it on my behalf. Okay, next comes the best seat in the house, a reminder to be all right with who I am and what I'm doing and where I am. And then the Path of Wildness, which is a way to step forward into a new life, to push past the status quo, to break the vacuum lock of our feet in the mud. Can't get them out. It's a way to break our feet out, to move forward. Sure, we're going into the unknown, and sure, we left our shoe behind in the mud. But here we go. And then the risk of avoiding risk suggests that there are surface level risks in life and then the deep risk. The surface level risks are the straightforward things: school, career, home, family, and security. The deep risk is finding oneself or making oneself, some character and some experience, some adventure that you might have. It kind of just always boils down to some sort of an adventure, some sort of a pushing forward. And if we don't do that, if we want to do it and we don't do it, especially at an early age, then we lose an opportunity that we can't get back. It's like if you don't have kids at a certain age, you might be able to. That's a terrible example. I take that back, because you could adopt at a later age, and you could satisfy that, or you could be, apply yourself, to other means, big brother, big sister, whatever, or nephews, nieces, whatever. But you can't do that with the challenge of courage at a young age. You can't reapply that at an old age if it was missed. Doesn't seem it can be done. Okay, so then comes after the sin and damnation. There are three categories of sin in my worldview: being untrue, believing things that are untrue, and being a gossip. Itemized in a way, there's 7 of them: falsity, credulity, faith, superstition, dogma, authority, and gossip. I try not to engage in any of those things because of the damnation that it entails in the here and now. Complete oblivion suggests that after death there's nothing to follow. We're just gone. We're not going to see our loved ones again, like I said before. We're not going to have a chance to make amends. or to see justice served. So better to live better now. Next comes the great life adventure. One or more experiences that are the result of going after that deep level risk. That's really what it is. Getting on the path of wildness, going after the deep level risks, and having a great life adventure. I like the way those three things just came together. Nice. Getting on the path to assuage the risk and have the adventure, which in result gives us our story, or at least one of our stories, a component of our stories. If it's a good enough adventure, it could be everything. And then the season of philosophy, just a time to record what we've learned along the way. Keep the pen and paper handy. And then the bullseye aim, striving for the mark and usually missing. The uphill climb, trudge, trudge, trudge. Arena and utility, keeping our principles sharp and tuned and at the ready. Nothing is enough, a reminder to not just be temperate, but to get ourselves down to the bare minimum necessary. And then the principle of fun, a reminder to try to enjoy life and have a good time. Now, while hoping for the future and remembering the past. Okay, that's my good life meditation for today. Now, as for my plan for today, it's a Irvine Sunday, a day for Miko and I to go to Irvine to do our shopping. So after this is done, I'll start the upload, go over, read my Bible, and then I'll feed the dogs. And then when Miko gets up, we'll hop in the car. We'll go to Irvine. We'll stop at Corky's along the way for breakfast. I think that's in Covina. Or Corona, that's it. And then we'll go to Costco first. We'll get gas, Costco shopping, and then Target, Tokyo Central, and then Trader Joe's, and then we'll come home. And in the midst of that, I got to pepper in 2 meetings along the way. That's the day. All right. Thanks for joining me. Be safe, but not too safe.